what's your real name?
Victor
Victor Walker.
Victor L. Walker. Yep.
I was like, is his name Lord Vic?
I mean, well, that's my righteous name.
That's your.
Yeah, that's my righteous name.
Okay, so I'll say that at the end.
So you can say Victor, Lord, whatever. Hey, listen, this is your show. I'll do all the explaining in the middle. Whatever needs to be done, I'll do it. Oh, no advertisement unless you pay for
You ain't
that.
got no dollars.
We
You
ain't
got
trying
no
to.
advertisement. No,
My hat good. Everything straight.
you good.
All right, cool.
Shoot.
Nothing in my nose.
Welcome to Detroit Table Talk. We are back at a table for this episode. You have to tune in every week to see what kind of, arrangement we're going to have. But today we have, earth tones because we got some stuff to talk about that deals with our earth.
That's right.
Today we are introducing Lord Victor Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
And for y'all that don't know, his name is Victor Walker. He is a visionary leader. He is a motivator. He is a community activist. He's committed to the community.
Sure.
He's empowering others, especially in our community. He is creating a positive change. He is driven by the passion that I think came from the things that he's been through. He uplifts, he inspires, and he is here today at the table. I want you guys to just give an applause. Where you at? I mean, I literally want you to take your hand and clap it up for Victor.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming to the table. I have been trying to get him at the table for a minute now.
Mhm.
And I don't know why I just kept, I just kept forgetting to make the call and say, hey, okay, what's the date? And then when I did it, I forgot to follow up. Listen, charge it to my head and not my heart, guys. So if I promise you that you can come to the table, drop me a dime. I got about 50 fires going at the same time. And it's hard. I've put out there before, I'm looking for a co-host. So if you think you're that energetic person, if you think that, you're intellectually committed and attached to the community, I'm looking for you. We're not based off of gossip and all that stuff. Yeah, take that somewhere else. We want change here at the table.
Indeed.
And change is what we're going to hear about today. But our guest, Victor, thank you for coming. And thank you to your beautiful wife who is always there to, have your back.
Yeah.
Sure. She's acts as a middle person too. So listen, if a man is married, I don't go to him. I go to his wife.
That's right.
And I say, hey, could you ask your husband, can he come to the table? Ladies, I'm just giving you a heads up. That's what you do. It's levels to this. If a man is married, you don't go through his wife. I don't care if you've known him for 50 years. You go through his wife. It's just out of respect. It's not that, hey, I could do it myself. No. We're going to give respect and give honor when it's due. So to his beautiful wife, Alicia, who's been at the table herself.
I know watching. What's up, baby?
Thank you for setting this up for me. I really appreciate it.
For sure.
So Victor, tell us about yourself.
So first and foremost, we're going to say this sister knows she can contact me anytime. Reach out and get me here. And, it's all good. I mean, I know.
I know that, but, I'm always go through your wife.
No, I appreciate it for sure. You know what I'm saying? That's just, everything is in divine order. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just, all the respect, like you said. Yeah. So again, first of all, my name is Victor Walker. Most individuals
I didn't know he had a first name.
Know me from, either through my neighborhood growing up or just through some of the I would presume, I guess, accomplishments that I've made along the way, some of the work that I've done throughout the community, some of the people that I interact with, some of the networks that I may have, and just, ultimately just being visible and active in multiple different ways. Um, I'm a father. I am a husband.
Great father, a great husband.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I'm on the outside looking in. So what I can see, he's doing a marvelous job.
I appreciate it. I mean, I strive my best. I mean, I look at it from the perspective of as a father, as a husband, as a brother, as a man, as a Black man, as a individual who represents peace, unity, truth, justice, all of the tenets and precepts that we take into consideration when we think about building a strong foundation and structure within our lives. I don't take those things lightly. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to be as great as I possibly can in those areas. You know what I mean?
I love
and just do a good job and hopefully be a shining example to other individuals who are either striving or seeking to obtain the same.
Ladies, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to give you a little insider. It'll be in the book coming out 2026. But let me give you just a little insider. If you want to know the character of a man and he's married I'm just going to say when he's married, watch his spouse. Because although we can fake some stuff, you can't fake everything.
This is true.
So you watch the spouse, you see her smile, you see, how he treats her, how she carries herself. You can tell a lot about that man by the way that he treats his family, his wife and his family. I'm the type of person I watch.
Sure.
And I am impressed. I was telling your wife last night, I said, I can't wait till I get married because watching you guys is encouraging to me.
Sure.
And it also puts me in the mindset that I don't want to compromise because I know that there is greatness out there, for me when it comes to a spouse. So lady, watch how he treats his wife. A man that has a girlfriend, if he treats her bad, that's not a man that you want to even consider, to me.
That's true.
As a husband,
I think for a significant period of time, I can't say how far we go back with this thought or this reality, but to be truthful, I think that a lot of women have either placed themselves in a situation where they're allowing substandard individuals or individuals who are not as up to their standards as they should be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them in their life just for the purpose of being content and being happy and being satisfied,
momentarily,
as minimal as possible. You know what I mean? And I think that when I'm just saying this from a realistic perspective, because I came up in a household where all the women were dominant. My mother was dominant. My sisters were dominant. My aunties were dominant. My grandmother was dominant. You know what I mean? And so I understood the power of a strong woman.
Yeah.
I would say strong Black women, but definitely a strong woman as a whole, because some of the things that other individuals, and I've noticed as I've gotten older and become aware of, some of these types of circumstances, some of the things that that people deal with now, I can't even imagine my mother or my sister or my aunts or anybody in those type of circumstances. I think, of course, over the generations, things change, things evolve, some things devolve. And as a result, I just think that some of our women are just allowing things as opposed to expecting things.
Yeah.
Me personally, I love my wife. I genuinely love my wife, and I like my wife. It's a difference.
That's a difference.
It's a difference.
And what he's saying is true because she likes him.
Absolutely.
She would rather hang out with her husband than to do anything else. And that's the way it should be.
No, I by no means will I get up here and be like everything is perfect. We have disagreements.
Yeah.
We have ups and downs, but the bottom line is I love my wife. I like my wife, and I don't want to lose my wife.
I love that. I
mean,
that.
like seriously, like when I even when I communicate with her, when we're talking, when we're engaged, when we are out, like I talk to my wife like I don't even want to say one, because my wife is my best friend. I don't have any best friends outside of my household.
Yeah.
I got close associates. I got individuals that I'm really, really tight with.
But you consider her when you talk to her.
But that's my other half for real.
I love that.
Even any decisions that I make, right? I mean, sometimes you have to make decisions on the spot and things, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, like big decisions that require real thought and real foresight, insight, guidance, all that, I consult with my wife because I know she's going to look at things from a perspective that I'm probably not
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to even consider.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she has my best interest.
But that's good to even consider her. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You have a lot of men that stands in a place of just the macho, like I'm the head, you know, in charge. And at the end of the day, he is the priest over the home.
Sure.
But a man is always going to consider his wife. He's always going to run things by her, even though at the end of the day, he has to make the decision on behalf of the family.
Sure.
I love that you consider her.
Sure.
Because a lot of men don't consider. They make decisions every day that's damaging to their life and their life. You know what I'm saying? Corporately.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I love that.
Again, I just think that because my wife has demonstrated to me on numerous occasions that she's a leader in her own right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And although, you know, from a patriarchal standpoint or just established as a whole, yeah, the man runs the household, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I wasn't an effective leader or if I wasn't a good leader, me running the household would still be ineffective.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means nothing just because I'm a man or I'm a male.
Yeah.
That's where it starts at. Like that would be the foundational aspect of it. But what's in that foundation? I still got to have some principles.
Yeah.
I still got to be solid. I still got to be loyal. I still got to be truthful. I still got to be, you know, it's certain things that builds that foundation for me to stand on as the man in the house.
It's all in there. I love the ragu sauce.
You know what I mean? Like,
you got what is it? Peppers, you got onions.
A little onion, you know, little scallion.
You know what I'm saying? It's all in there.
Yeah, like
and that's what they have. It's all in there.
Sure.
You know, so before we get to really talking about the wife, I want to know, because Vic, you had to go away on a vacation for a minute.
A very, very long vacation.
A very long vacation.
Right.
So before you went on that vacation, tell me how your life was. And then how you met your beautiful wife.
Okay, so I'll go back in history.
And if y'all see me doing this, that's because I'm cold. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Right.
Like,
you want my jacket?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm freezing because I really want. I want
Look, leash.
No. I got a jacket.
Okay.
I just want I want to look good on camera.
Oh, there it is. Say less. Vanity always wins. No.
Okay.
No, but like seriously though. So just going back in history a little bit, I grew up in a 2-parent household.
Okay.
Grew up on Dexter, in Northwestern, one of the most infamous areas in Detroit.
Man, I grew up on Dexter.
I know, right? Oh, you grew up on Dexter?
On Monterey.
Anyway, yeah, but no, like seriously. So I grew up on Dexter.
Matter of fact, I grew up right down the street from
BJ.
Butch and them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, I was rest in peace to the brother.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
rest in peace.
You know, it's been a lot of checkerboards behind, you know, that story, that history or whatever. But at the same time, when it all boils down to it, man, love is love. And I definitely want to pay my respects to the brother. So that's that. But yeah, I grew up raised on Northwestern Street between Dexter and Wildermere. Came up in a 2-parent household, mother, father. Both individuals were very solid in their own right. My father was a foreman at Chrysler. My mother was a stay-at-home housewife, but she worked odd jobs here and there just because she wanted to be motivational. And, you know, relevant to the household in many ways. Again, my mother was very stern. She was very sharp. She was very focused and responsible when it came to raising her children. You know, education and responsibility was taught heavily in my home. I had 2 sisters and 3 brothers. 4 brothers, I count my bonus brother.
Is 6 of y'all all together?
Yeah, actually, I had another brother too. He passed before I was born.
Okay.
So of course he's still included in the bunch as well. Nevertheless, we all, like I said, we all grew up in the same household, same principles, same background, same foundation. And you know, again, one of the primary things that was taught in my household was education and responsibility, being responsible for yourself. So at a very young age, I'm talking like maybe 7, 8 years old, even though I would be able to get anything pretty much from my family, my parents, they would give me anything. I began start selling candy and stuff at school just because it's crazy at this age to even think about that, right? When I reflect back on it, I didn't really want to be a burden to my family. I didn't always want to have to ask them for stuff. And so even though I knew I wasn't supposed to take candy to school, I still took it, right? And I made money. And
I think we all did.
Right. You know what I mean?
In our book bag.
And that became a thing, right? And I just kind of gravitated toward that. And that taught me a little bit of responsibility. As I grew older a bit, I was 12, and I remember the Patrick Ewing gym shoes were coming out, and I wanted them. And my mother was like, "I'll get them for you," but at this point, I just bought you another pair of shoes that cost $100 the week before. And she's like,
$100 and some dollars.
Yeah.
Y'all was balling like that.
No, I ain't gonna say that. She would just give me
Shoot,
what
our
I would
shoes couldn't
want,
cost over $19.99.
Them stadiums.
and that was
right?
pushing it.
No, but I remember her saying that, right? And she was just like, you're getting older, you want to start doing something to make more money on your own. So I became the neighborhood barber. I taught myself, self-taught barber, and I became really good at it and effective. And before long, that was my hustle, and it was what I did. But around 15 years old, something really, really miraculous happened. I discovered girls.
Okay.
And I really discovered girls. Right?
And you needed more money.
I needed more money, right? But at that time, it was crazy. Not really being like a promiscuous child or anything like that, but I became engaged. I became active, and before long, at 15 years old, I had my first child. My son was born at 15, and my life changed.
Had a baby at 15?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. And I was so scared. I remember how it was. My parents, in my mind, I'm like, oh, because they're very stern, and I don't even want to say strict. They were just very responsible, stern individuals. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, man, I don't know how I'm going to say this, right? But to make a long story short, I did. We ended up working through it, and my parents sat me down. They basically just said, like, hey, you're going to have a different life now.
Yeah.
And you have to be responsible and do what's necessary.
The operative word, you're going to have a different life.
You're going to have a different life, right? We still going to do what we do. We still going to help you, but you got a baby now. Yeah. So that's what happened. Fast forward a little bit, because I took the responsibility of raising a son seriously. Yeah. I chose to make decisions that probably wasn't in my best interest. Mm-hmm. And while I was still very grounded, going to school and being responsible in that regard, I got off into the streets and I started selling drugs. Okay. I started selling dope, and I got really out there, and I used the excuse, in retrospect, saying that I was doing it to take care of my son. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Which I was, but after a while, I just came adapted to the lifestyle, and I was just doing it because now I'm making money and I'm able to do other things that I probably wouldn't have been doing had I not been involved in that, right? So I ended up taking a break for a minute because I still was in school. I graduated from school. I went to college in Ohio for a while.
What school you graduate from?
I graduated from Central High School, class of 95.
Oh, Lord. You was over there at Central?
Trailblazers.
I worked at Central, and them babies was off the chain.
Hey, listen, man, we turned that school out. I ended up getting kicked out of Northwestern, but that's another story. I was still living the certain life. Don't worry, in the zone. I was in the zone. But yeah, so after graduating, I ended up going to college for a bit, and I came back home. I made the decision to come back home for multiple reasons, and unfortunately, I got back into the streets. And I became bigger than what I previously was before I went, and it just became
I made a target on you,
and I became a target. And when I reflect back on it, I think about some of the wrong turns. I had been in a car accident. I had been shot. It was, you got individuals who hate on you. It was a lot of things that came along with their lifestyle. And
you think those were warning?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But we do know is warning comes before destruction.
Absolutely.
If you don't listen to the people around you, got to start allowing things to happen.
Sure.
So
I'll tell you what I learned from that relative to that. And this was a lesson in and of itself. I didn't learn this until I'll talk about this story afterwards, but I didn't learn this. This is just a future thing that reflects on that point. It was about destiny and fate, right? And fate were those small warnings that I was receiving over a certain period of time. Yeah. When I got into the car accident, it was a warning. It was my fate.
Go sit yourself down.
You know what I mean? I got into an accident, the car accident. It was fate.
Now you can't get nowhere.
Right. But I still, again, I wasn't paying attention to those signs. I was paralyzed momentarily. A lot of people didn't know this. Yeah, for like about a good almost 2 weeks. They told me I might not be able to walk. But in my mind, I just didn't see it. And
were you in a wheelchair?
I was in a wheelchair. I was on a walker. And thankfully, I was able to push through it. Okay. Right. And I began to walk. I got shot while I was on my walker. Right. because I wouldn't sit down.
Now, how was your parents reacting to the little things that were going on at the time?
To be quite honest, again, I told you I came from a very stern family, but at this point, I'm grown.
Okay.
I got a kid,
Okay.
and I'm not saying I wasn't taking insight
Mm-hmm.
or advice from my parents. It's just that I was living a certain life, and now it's like I'm in it.
Okay.
And so, to be quite honest, I was a man, and I was able to make my own decisions. I hear you, but I got you, and just still doing what I'm doing. And what I learned was those momentary warnings that I didn't heed, which were episodes of fate, which is connected to destiny, overall destination.
Yes.
Because I didn't listen, that those fates eventually turned into what my destiny was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was leading me straight to prison the whole time, or the graveyard. I just evaded the graveyard and ended up going to prison.
And how long were you in prison?
I served 18 and a half years in prison. So
the first time you went where you got arrested, was that your first time being arrested? Or you had been arrested prior to?
I'm gonna be honest, I had been arrested by the time I was 19, 20 years old. I had probably been arrested about 30 or 40 times.
But you only went to the county.
I went to the county. I never went to prison.
Okay.
And part of
how was that experience like, going from the county? This time you're arrested. Now you're going from the county to being in prison. And those are two different things. People don't understand that. Going to jail is usually up to a year.
Sure.
You usually serve a year. And anything past a year, you're sent to prison.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Well, I will say this, because this is an aspect that I didn't include in the original context of what I was talking about.
Okay.
Although I did come from a great household. My father was a foreman at Chrysler. My mother was a stay-at-home housewife. But at the same time, when I say I experienced the best of both worlds, I meant that because although my father was a great guy and did what he did, he still had street experience.
Okay.
My mother still had street experience. And I was exposed to a lot of things that probably a younger person would not have experienced had I not had I was not raised and born in the family I was.
So did it pique your interest just a little bit?
I came from a real raw family, like seriously.
Okay.
Like a very raw street family. We just were also individuals who understood what was necessary to survive on both levels, corporate and underworld. Yeah. Right. And so with me knowing that, me having gone to, I went to juvenile the first time. I got into a fight in high school in Northwestern, and that's where I got kicked out. It was on.
They sent you to juvenile for the fight. It must have been a bad fight.
It was a really bad fight.
Okay.
It was very bad.
Were you part of Zone 8 over there?
So ironically enough, you know what's funny about this? Because you keep saying Zone 8. Ironically, and I'm so glad that era has passed, because I'm so tight with so many of my brothers and sisters from the zone.
Yeah.
But the conflict arose from the individuals on my side, or on the side I was on across the boulevard, with some of those individuals over there. But it's crazy because the situation that took place, I had nothing to do with it. I was just running with some cats who had some issues, and you know how I go. You're in the street, you ride with who you riding with. Yeah. And unfortunately,
choose you this day.
It happens, right? And that's what happened. But it's crazy because during my time in prison, I made alliances with some of those brothers, and we made some real amends in there, and that was dope.
When you realized that this time it wasn't something short term, and that you were going to have to serve some time, what did that do to your psyche?
Well, to be quite honest, I think that I was still in denial for a very long time.
Okay. And
part of the reason why, I'll be honest, I think I'm secure enough to say this now that I'm older. Like, it was arrogance. Okay. Right? I was making so much money at a young age. It didn't matter to me. I was paying off lawyers, and it was a lifestyle that I didn't care. I had everything I wanted. You couldn't tell me nothing. It's just what it was, right? Yeah. And I think even after having been shot, it still didn't faze me. I was still kind of like almost on a warpath. Okay. Like, whatever. It's just only going to get worse and worse. And ultimately, without going into too much detail, because this is a story that I tell often, and trust me, it's not that I'm holding back. I am an open book. I know we're pressed for time. I can go on and on and on with it. But the brief story is, there was a situation that took place where I was shot. There was a retaliation, and there was also a bit of fabrication in the midst of that. But because, we stick to the street code, the things that we learn, I'm not testifying, I'm not getting on the stand, I'm gonna ride this one out and whatever happened, right? I didn't realize how much of the deck was stacked against me because there were individuals who were in very high power positions who ultimately had alliances with the individuals who I had these issues with.
Okay.
So it placed me at a disadvantage. And when I went to court, I really realized like, oh, this is not what I thought it was, right? So we ended up, I was out on bond. I was out on $120,000. Me and my brother, we were all out on 6-figure bonds.
Whoa.
We paid those bonds and got out.
10% or no? It was more 10%.
We had the surety houses and
Yeah.
we made those bonds. It's almost $300,000 worth of bonds that we had to secure. And we did. So we were out on bond even after the incident. But even then, there was still more drama.
Now, but this is time you had a child at this time.
Absolutely.
How did that?
Well, to be quite honest, because I understood certain aspects of what certain consequences may cause, I immediately moved my son from the situation.
Okay.
But mentally, it was very difficult because the life that I was living prior to the incident, I couldn't really live it anymore. It was all, looking over my shoulder, but also being on guard and just causing a lot of destruction, right?
And I don't think young people today understand that. When you live a certain lifestyle, it's not easy having to watch your back all the time.
It's not.
Going into the store, coming to your car, coming outside, you looking in bushes, you know what I'm saying? That got to be like.
But what's really wild, and I don't think I underscore this enough or put enough light on it, because some individuals may think that I went to prison because of that incident. I actually went to prison for a crime that I didn't commit. Right? It derived from that incident, but the convictions that I served that time for was not substantiated.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So what you had
I
done,
went to prison for.
You didn't get time for that. You got time for something else.
Well, I'll be straight out with the charges and everything. I was charged with kidnapping, felonious assault, felony firearm. I was already on probation, so they gave me a violation of probation because I was selling drugs, the guns and all of that type of stuff, right? Because I was on lifetime probation at the time that
I was on lifetime
probation before I got shot.
So that means you couldn't do nothing.
But I was still doing it again.
You should have just put yourself on house arrest.
You would think, you would think I was begging for it.
Don't even go get a pop or a candy bar from the store. Just send somebody to do it.
I was begging for it and didn't know it, right? So again, when the situation took place, and again, having been arrested so many times, right? It was more so just like, almost like I'm untouchable. That's where the arrogance came in at. No pun intended, untouchable. But I was almost in a mindset where
I'm gonna beat this too. I'm gonna beat this. I'm straight. I'll be at home in a minute.
Right. So ended up happening. Went to court, got convicted.
When they said
back up
18 years.
Wait, no. Let's back up a little bit. When I went to court, out on bond, the date that my trial was supposed to start, federal and fugitive investigators came and arrested me and my brothers from court on brand new charges: attempted murder, discharge of firearms at the building. It was a lot of violent stuff. Yeah. Right?
To make sure that they get an indictment.
To make sure that they secure this. Because they out on bond.
Now they may mess it up. We gotta make sure.
Take care of this, right? So long story short, we get pulled for those. So now we're off the street. Yeah. Go to court and get convicted for the kidnapping and everything.
Listen, I want you guys to share this. Sure. Share it to some young people. I want you to share this because I want you to really understand that there is a transformation that took place. Sure. Even though
you're hearing the backstory.
You're hearing the backstory to where he is now. Sure. And a lot of times we like to make up these cute names. I said, he went on vacation.
No, but I went to prison.
It was prison. When I say vacation, I mean prison.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean, to be quite honest, after, okay, so real quick, just to jump and transition really quickly. So even after the conviction, right, I get convicted and I'm twisted.
The feds pick you up.
The feds, the fugitive investigators, arrested us on the attempted murder charges and other charges.
Yeah.
We go to court and get convicted on the case that we were actually going to court for when we got arrested by the fugitive investigators. We're out on bond, right? So once we get convicted, we get sentenced, and then they send us off to what we call intake in prison when you first get there, right?
Yeah. So did you have to go through Jackson?
That went through Jackson.
So Jackson is the intake place. Whenever you go into prison, everybody gets shipped to Jackson.
Absolutely.
And you go through a quarantine time. I think it's usually 30 days.
30 days. I was there. It was so overcrowded at that time. I actually had to stay 60 days.
Okay. But it's usually 30 days depending on the time frame. And that's when they make you go see a doctor,
you
a psychologist.
The doctor,
they tell you what level you're going to be on, what prison you're going to, you classify you.
Yeah.
I just want people to understand it
is a process, right? And even then.
And during that time, I don't remember, but during that time, I don't think you can you talk to your family?
So there is a time frame. It's not like when you get to the final destination where you're able to call consistently.
Regularly,
It's so many people and it's so limited. So the resources are so limited. And because they want to make sure that they keep you classified where you are, they do their best to limit your communication until what needs to take place takes place. So while I was still in quarantine, I was what they call writted or transferred back down to the county jail to face the new charges that the federal investigators had arrested us for. Fortunately, those cases were dismissed because those were not legitimate charges either. They were dismissed with prejudice, which means they can't bring them back. And then after that, I was sent back because of what happened.
With prejudice means they can't recharge you. Without prejudice means that they can go and collect more evidence and bring it back to the judge.
Absolutely.
I just want people to understand.
Sure. And so after that, I was transferred to prison. And I'll jump ahead a little bit. The first couple of years, it was, again, I still had that arrogance in me. Like, man, we're going to pay for these lawyers, man. I'm going to pay for this
during
appeal.
this time, you still trying to get money to pay for attorneys.
We had money.
You trying to get a game
I'm just
going.
waiting, but it's a process, right?
Now, you wasn't with your wife at this time?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So I'm paying, we're paying lawyers and just go ahead and do that, real arrogant.
Yeah.
And so for the first few years, it was more so like, okay, well, it's a process. You got to wait a couple years. They got to respond, but it's a denial here. You're going to have a denial here, denial there, but eventually you'll get it. Now, this is what the attorneys are telling us, right? So I'm thinking they just
taking your money.
They just siphoning everything that they can get.
Oh yeah, I got you. I'll file that motion tomorrow.
So after about the 4th or 5th year, I recall some of the funds that we had set aside for this particular occasion, they just begin to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And it's like we had almost went through maybe another almost $200,000 just cash.
That's you and somebody else.
Myself, I was incarcerated with my brothers. It was myself and 2 of my brothers.
3. So it's 3 of y'all together.
Yeah.
And y'all was coming from the same pot.
Yeah. So after that, it was just like, okay. And it didn't make sense.
Did y'all all get the same sentence?
So I was sentenced to 22 to 42 years. My
two.
Yeah, 22
to 42
to 42 years in prison.
Woo!
My brother, my older brother, he was sentenced to 18 to 40 years with 2 years for a gun. Jesus. And my younger brother was sentenced to, I think, 9 to 25 years.
Okay.
But even after those sentences, I was one of those individuals that even though the attorneys were taking care of the business, I still would read the motions and try to understand them and things of that nature, but it was still just more so I can communicate with the attorneys.
Yeah.
Time goes by. And as, the money is getting smaller and smaller in amount, it's like, something has to change. Yeah. So now I start selling stuff off. I just sold some of my cars and sold jewelry. I got rid of other assets that I was thinking I'm gonna get right back out and get back to. So over that time, it's like, wow. So I'm gonna back up a little bit.
And you're still trying to make sure that your child was taken care of.
Absolutely. So, and I won't go too deep in it because I know this will carry on too. But during the time that I went back, when I told you I went back on a writ to get heard on those other charges.
Mhm.
I was assaulted by the police officers in Wayne County Jail. Now, this isn't to degrade police officers or talk down. There's always a few bad ones in the situation, right? But I was assaulted, and I was assaulted so badly that I ended up filing a lawsuit. I succeeded on the lawsuit. I received $425,000 from this lawsuit
while you were locked up,
while I was incarcerated. That was almost unheard of for a prisoner. Unfortunately for me, many circumstances took place, but one of the primary ones was that because I sued the Wayne County Jail where it happened at, I didn't realize that the MDOC was not a part of Wayne County Jail. So as soon as I got the lawsuit, they immediately took up to 90% or were entitled to 90% of the $425,000 for room and board futures, just because I was sentenced to 22 to 42 on paper. So they calculated that amount and said he'll be paying 35 to 40,000 or whatever it may be per year for housing. So we're going to take what he's going to get.
And I don't think people understand that.
Sure.
When you are in prison, if you have a certain amount of money, even if when you go to prison and, some of these young people go to prison on drug charges and stuff like that, just an example, and they buddies rush and put money on their account, they start taking money out of their account for room and board.
And restitution. A lot of us don't realize that when we go to prison or when we get in these situations, sometimes even when you're on probation, they make the defendant not only pay for the attorney fees, they make you pay for your housing while you were in the county jail in certain instances. They make you pay victims restitution if you have an actual victim in the crime, and they make you pay room and board, and they sometimes will make you pay processing and state fees. So sometimes you'll go to prison with a debt of up to maybe $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And so your parents or people or whoever you got, they'll send you $100 to go on your books. They're taking half of that off the top. And then half of whatever else just to satisfy the other obligations.
Oh, I know that too well.
You know what I mean?
I just be like, wait a minute, I just sent you some money.
Send your $100.
Mama only got, I said, no, I put this. And then when I called to find out from the warden, like, hey, is somebody siphoning money? He was like, no, this is how it goes. He had to tell me this is how it go. I didn't know that.
But even worse, let's think about that.
I said, well, we're not putting no more than what they allow, so they won't take it.
So just think about that for a quick minute, right? The living expenses and costs in prison are sometimes higher than what we pay out here. Just because you have companies and corporations who specifically distribute their goods to the prison system. They have a contract. So like how we'll go to Walmart and buy a whole case of noodles and it totals to roughly about 18 cents per noodle. You're paying like $1 per noodle in there. Right? So if you send me $100 and they take their 50 off the top and then split that 50 in half that I got, and I got $25, I still got to get toothpaste, deodorant, food, and any paper to write home with, stamps.
You can only get that every quarter. So that's every 3 months. Your family can only spend up to $90.
Yeah. And depending on, what facility you are at and where you station, I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So you get through, you in the process, you going, the money is being dwindled. You got the lawsuit, but they take, 90% of that.
So it put me almost right back at zero.
Put you back at zero.
Everything. So I had to get conscious. I knew my goal was to get out of prison. I think around year 7 for me was the changing pivotal moment for me because I realized what was most necessary. I realized I wasn't who I thought I was. I realized that it was a certain degree of arrogance within me that was projecting and propelling me in a direction that I shouldn't have been going in.
Now, did your friends stay in connection with you, the ones that were still out in the street?
So I, out of so many individuals who I would consider have been in my circle at the time prior to me going to prison, say out of about 20 guys, I say about 4 or 5 of them really stayed connected with me and, made sure that I was decent in certain areas, but you got everybody's struggling. So, and I'm the type of person where I don't even really like to ask for anything. I'll do for myself before I would, put somebody else in the bind. They got kids and stuff. I understood. But I was at a point where I was decent for a while. But around year 7, 8, 9, 10, things got a little rough, and I had to start really reevaluating my circumstances. I didn't really have any more money to pay those lawyers off like I needed to, so I had to get smart. It was around that time I ended up just kind of like losing it for a moment, and I became very rebellious.
You were just mentally drained.
To a certain extent, I believe that was that's a good way to assess it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started responding in way I was more reacting.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going to solitary confinement for some time. I was in what we call the hole for about
So
8.
you started fighting? You started going
I mean,
against the COs?
I actually only had one physical altercation while I was in there. It was actually 2, but it was kind of bad. I actually broke my hand, and it was a lot. But afterwards, I was in solitary confinement for quite some time, about 8 months. And I started doing soul searching.
Tell the people what that means in a nutshell.
So solitary confinement is a prison within a prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a small cell about the size of the average home's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
It has a bunk, a small desk, and a toilet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a light. And the one that I was in, they didn't cut the light off. I didn't have a television. I was basically in a holding cell with no windows except the one the officer used to
slide your food in.
And they actually, because the classification I received while I was in there, it was so severe that they fed me through what they call a dog food slot. They fed me through the dog food slot. When I had to go and shower, I was locked down 23 and a half hours a day.
Put your hands through that slot. They put the cuffs on you.
I had to put my hand through the slot, but they actually walked me to the shower on a dog leash.
Mm-hmm.
You had to walk naked. I was able to have my underwear. It was very degrading, and I think it was a psychological process where they would try to do their best to try to break you. And I say that because
that means you can't have any contact with your people. There's no phone calls.
No,
there's no visitations.
You can write, but they read your mail.
No commissary.
No commissary. No.
So that means you can only eat the prison food.
Right. No food items. And if
were you able to go out once an hour
for 30
a day?
minutes, just to stretch and come back in, just enough of that. And depending on what situation it was, they would take your food and put it all in one pan, bake it, and give you what they call food loaf. It's everything that you would eat in one day. They would just smash it together and cook it and feed it to you. Yeah, it was deep. But again, I think it was more so just psychological, because they would have every 30 days, a psychologist would come around and ask you specifically, are you hearing voices? Do you feel like the walls are closing? They were actually pertinent questions that was geared towards to see whether or not you were still psychologically sustaining reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, passing along through that, during the time I was incarcerated in solitary confinement, I was able to read certain things. I kept myself occupied.
So they allowed you to have books?
Yeah, I was allowed to have certain books. I also was allowed to have like very, very short pencils, or I would find pieces of lead on the ground and I would draw with and stuff like that. And I would, kind of keep my mind, exercised in that capacity. And before long, my time in the hole was up. But I was able to study the law during the time I was incarcerated. And what happened was, when I realized how low on funds we were and that we had so much further to go with the litigation process, I decided to learn the law myself.
Okay.
So I began studying. I studied civil law, criminal law. I studied business law. I studied commercial law. I studied uniform commercial code. I studied administrative law. I even studied admiralty maritime law, the law of the sea. Not even really understanding what that had to do with anything. All I know is I just want out of prison. Maybe you had to
swim across, get the hell up.
But what's crazy, I realized how much admiralty maritime law was associated with actual Michigan compiled law. It's crazy, but I studied all of that and
never even heard of it.
So before long, I got out of solitary confinement.
Okay.
I went to another facility. It was a lower level, and I had more freedom to do certain things. So I became more active. I had stopped eating meat. I was no longer eating meat.
You was a Muslim?
Well, no, not a Muslim. I stayed firm in my own stance for a very long time.
Okay.
Right? I studied everything. I studied Islam. I studied Christianity. I studied Buddhism. I studied everything that I could think of because I just wanted to better myself. I studied the Nation of Islam teachings. I studied so much so that I eventually came to a place where I don't even want to say I adopted. I became one with the culture of 5% Nation,
Yeah.
or what we call the Nation of Gods and Earths, and that's what I ultimately settled on. Because
I don't know what that
resonates.
means. Does that mean like you in touch with the tree and the grass
Well,
and the water?
I would say this: we utilize principles that are based off of fact. So, in other words, when we have some tenets called supreme mathematics, we have tenets called the supreme alphabet.
And it's called 5%ers?
We're 5%ers, but the actual name of the organization is the Nation of Gods and Earth. It was founded on October 10th, 1964 by a man by the name of Clarence 13X, who we affectionately call Father Allah.
Okay.
Right. And Allah actually stands for.
But no connection to the Muslim.
Well, we have a connection in the sense that a lot of our teachings were the same.
Intertwined. Okay.
And to be quite honest, Malcolm X was one of the teachers of our ultimate founder.
Okay.
He studied under Malcolm X for years before he was ultimately assassinated. And so a lot of the Muslim tenets are definitely ingrained in what our principles are, is that we internalize them in a different way. So we don't have a religion, we represent a culture.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
So what year did you happen to come across your wife?
So here's
what year have you been locked up?
Here's a tidbit to show you how full circle moments occur, right? So during the time when I was in the game, prior to me going to prison, right, I was very active in my neighborhood and I knew a lot of people. Actually, Alicia was raised in my neighborhood, and I had come in contact with her on a couple of occasions, not even really realizing it, because she had a very strong, powerful, in neighborhood ingrained grandmother. It was very strong, like my mother. And like I said, we had the best of both worlds. So my mother used to throw the gambling parties and stuff like that. So it was a connection, right? And I knew of her, but didn't really know who she was, just whatever, right? And I wasn't focused on it. I was trying to get money and do what I was doing.
Yeah.
So came a point in time, fast forward years out of the hole, I'm refining myself. I've gotten better, I understand the law. I had to even move my case to a point where everything was moving in a direction looking like I'm coming home. But they had basically put a hold on it. They said they lost my file, right? So that was my standstill at the time. So me being me, I got a bit creative, and we just being real, right? I obtained a communication device that I may or may not necessarily have supposed to have in my possession.
Right, we don't know nothing about that.
At that time, there were social media accounts that were created somewhere on the earth at a certain place in a certain time. And for certain circumstances, I was able to interact with individuals who were not in my personal presence at the time. Right. As a result, just being real, that was like a joke. But as a result, I began to utilize social media platforms for the purpose of demonstrating my innocence for this particular crime that I was in. So I set
you
up
was pleading your case on social media.
Because it was like everything that I had put forth at a certain period of time had fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So I had reached out, and as I'm building my social media platform and interacting on it, I created a platform called the Walker Brothers Freedom and Social Awareness Group.
Okay.
Right, which is still active now on Facebook. And it was like I posted all of the information, all of the affidavits, all of the information that would demonstrate that I was innocent. I posted pictures. I posted everything so that the world could have access to what I was saying was my evidence to help me gain my freedom.
Yeah.
And it was also a
hoping that somebody came across it and was able to, let me.
Yeah. And it was also a support group. People who I knew who had lost contact with me over the years, reached back. I'm here.
Did the Innocent Projects ever get in?
So I reached out to the Innocent Project at that time, but at that time they were like in the infantile stages of building their organization. So I don't think that they were in a position to assist me in a way that I needed to be assisted at the time. But I did reach out. Nevertheless, I had set up that social awareness group, and one day I got an inbox from a young lady who said something like, how you doing, brother? I just want to let you know, I just saw your story, and I just want to let you know I'm praying for you. I'm not sure what your circumstances are, but if it is what's being, posted on this page, man, you got all of the blessings in the world. If there's any type of way I can assist you or help you, just let me know, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So I responded back in kind. Well, I definitely appreciate you, sister. It's a rare occasion when someone will reach out to somebody like me in a situation like this and blah, 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 so long. Before long, we developed a relationship, like very short period of time. And as we're communicating and we exchanged information, talked about our background histories and stuff, I'd be like, oh, you and and we begin to realize that we had known each other for a period of time before that, just in different areas. She's a bit younger than me at the sense too, so naturally my mind would have been on something else.
Yeah.
Right. Nevertheless, it turns out to be Alicia, and from that point, we just kind of build. And at some point, and it wasn't a very long period of time, she asked me what was my goal if I was to get out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't when at the time. It was, if you get out of prison, what is your goal? Even though I had placed all this information. And I told her, I said, to be quite honest, my goal is to come home, reestablish my life, build, and basically help to change some of the things that I know I helped to mess up while I was in there. Mm-hmm. She's like, what about basically are you planning on being with somebody? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I just told her, my goal is to come home and be focused. But if I do happen to meet someone along those lines, then I'm all for it. I'm a Libra, I'm a partnership type person, right? But at the same time, I definitely don't want to waste anybody's time, and I don't want to be a hindrance because my goal is to do this.
Yeah.
And so we got more and more talking and building, and we identified our commonalities, and we talked and we established that this is going to be us. And she was like, I'm going to be real with you. I know you've been, I'll never forget this conversation. I'm going to be real with you. I know you've been gone for a long time. Right? I know you've been gone for a long time, and I know some things that you probably want to do when you come home and all that. But listen, if you want to come home and do what you said you want to do long term, let's do that. Mm-mm. I'll be with you.
But if you're on that board,
listen, I'm going to help. These are her words. I'm going to do everything I can to help you get out of here. Everything that needs to be done, whatever you need me to do, I got you. But I'm not playing no games. If it's going to be this or it's going to be that. She said, we can still be friends.
Yeah.
I'll help you with everything, but don't think we're not doing that. Yeah. But I knew in my mind, that's it. I'm not even thinking about nobody right now, but you putting it out, that's us. Let's do it. And ever since then, we was locked in. Alicia sacrificed everything. Yeah. And when I say everything, I'll let her tell that part of her story. Yeah. She sacrificed everything to help get me home. Okay. I mean, friendships, because there was so many people who were, oh man, you crazy, you messing with a guy in prison, you did that, no. But she knew what we had built.
That's why it's so important to have that relationship with, you know what I'm saying, in my instance with God, so you know what he's telling you, and him guiding you. You talk to some people, man, they'll talk you out of your blessing.
Listen, we used to have conversations. She's like, yeah, I lost another one. She's like, but she used to always say this. You come home. You make me look crazy.
She just said through her teeth.
I'm like, we good. I got you. I swear I got you, But to make a long story short, man, she did everything that she said she was going to do. She sacrificed everything in her power, and she became my footwork. She's the reason that they found my file.
Okay.
She's the reason that the attorney who I ended up going to get to represent the first portion of my platform to come home, all of that was her. Mm-hmm. But I told her, I said, listen, when we get this new attorney, I want to represent myself. Okay. I'm not going through that no more with them other attorneys.
Yeah.
So we found an attorney that was willing to accept the case to get there and present.
To put all the motions and stuff
because
like that.
Because what actually happened was I did so much studying that I came across a law or a rule of law that no one had even considered.
Okay.
It was called the reissuance of the judgment, MCR 6.428. I'll never forget it because when I saw it, I read it the first time and I came back to it like, wait a minute, this can't mean what I think it means. What it says is if you had an attorney who, when you were at court and you got found guilty, you have 42 days to appeal your conviction, right? Before you can go to the Court of Appeals. Yeah. If you had an attorney who failed to file your claim of appeal within the original 42 days of your sentence, and as a result, you lost your right to appeal, if you can demonstrate that, then you automatically get your appeal back and you can get access to a new trial.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2.5, 2.9, and 3.0. So as I read and I put it together, I'm like, this is what I've been fighting
And
the
that's
whole
why
time.
usually now attorneys, once you've been found guilty, they automatically have the paperwork done.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that they won't be in default.
Because I ended up taking a couple of attorneys to the Judicial Attorney Commission, and that's another story. But to make a long story short, when I found this information, I prepared the documents myself. So when we find the attorney, I was going to present it to him and say, this is what I want filed. I don't care about nothing else you're talking about. File that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we filed the attorney. He said, and they agreed, I will file this. It was a young lady by the name of Ms. Rosemary Robinson from Zone 8. I love that, man. So she went down there. She represented. I went to court. Boom. They granted it. I said, oh, it's over now. Right? So I'm happy, but I ended up having to go back to prison because there was still more steps in the process. Somebody contacted Rosemary Robinson and said, hey, Mr. Walker no longer wants you on his case. They pulled her from my case.
Because she got you granted a new trial.
Hear me out. So I'm like,
dirty.
What? I didn't even understand how it happened. So at that point, okay, it's nothing to do about my car with spilled milk. I'm already granted. Let's move forward because they kept delaying it. So now
when they told her that, she didn't come visit you in prison and say, hey, this is what you
think just me, because this is exactly how it happened. I presume the way that they presented it to her, because she's such a sweet woman. They presented it to her in such a way that it was almost as if I tried to go behind her back and move her on that level.
Okay.
And I think it just made her like, oh, I helped this guy, like on that level. And I still think, she should have contacted me, but I did contact him. We talked, but it was after that.
Okay.
Anyway, I found another attorney, got to that attorney. He agreed to file the motions. We went through a lot of back and forth, but I told him when we get to court, I'm representing myself.
Okay. You just said second chair.
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, so how long from the paperwork to the time you were able to get released?
Well, from the Rosemary Robinson debacle, I had to go through some more loops. So I would say about another year-ish.
Okay.
Right, before I was able to get the attorney to recognize and file the motions to get things back in line. And when we did, ultimately, I went to the county jail January 26th, 2018.
Okay.
They had scheduled me for resentencing. I went to court and I represented myself. They had brought all of the evidence out and they didn't want to overturn the conviction. So they overturned the sentence.
Okay.
They wanted to keep the conviction, just being real, I personally feel, because they don't have to compensate me. $50,000 for every year that I was incarcerated. But instead of doing that, they overturned the sentence, which ultimately says we realize and recognize that you were really only supposed to have been sentenced to 4 years.
Yeah. So they overcharged.
They were supposed to sentence me to 4 years, even with all of my history. But they sentenced me to 22 to 42. So all of that time that I spent past the 4 years was dead time. I don't get any recourse for that because the conviction.
So 14 years, they don't have nothing to give you for that.
No, absolutely not. But I'm gonna be honest with you. When I saw the pushback that was happening, I said, you know what? Don't worry about it, man. I've been in here 18 and a half years. Me sitting up in here worrying about a couple dollars. Let me go home. I'll show you how to get it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was a reformed man. I saw a whole.
So you were released.
Sure.
You got to the point where the judge say.
I ended up being released ultimately September 18th, 2018.
That's
so
roughly
birthday. Like about 7 years. Wow. Day after my son's birthday. It was crazy. It was
September the 18th, 2018.
18. Yeah.
Okay, you get out. What you do?
I gotta say this first. You know, my wife and I we were discussing and just talking about, you know, upon my release, just what I was gonna do. And of course, I was paroled.
Now that wasn't your wife then.
No,
you didn't get married while you was still there. Okay,
and I chose not to.
Yeah.
Because I felt personally my wife deserved way more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have done it, and I know she would have been 100% with me. She had already demonstrated she was by my side on every level. But I wanted my wife to be. She was supposed to get everything she had coming.
Yeah.
And I didn't just do it, you know, on a whim. Even when I came home, I went through the full process. I contacted her father. I let him know that I wanted to, you know, have her hand in marriage. I asked for the blessing, all of that.
Hello.
Like it was not. I didn't take any of that lightly.
Yeah.
I wanted her to know that how special and what she meant to me
Yeah.
because she sacrificed everything, and that's the least I can do for her. But yeah, I came home 2018, and she was right there waiting on me, open arms. She brought my clothes. She just set the stage for me, man, to come out and be the best version of myself I could be. And she did. So when I got home, we had fun. We went out to eat, and just begin life.
Yeah.
It was a bit difficult, of course, just because I knew that life was different now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going almost 20 years. Everything was different, and all of the plans that I had established and what I was going to do, some of them fit the mold, but some of them were just like so far off base. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got cell phones now, they touch screen, right? But anyway, I came to a point where I wanted to get involved in this welding program.
Okay.
I was just looking at different options. I didn't want to work at a fast food restaurant. Not saying anything bad about that. That just wasn't in the bag for me. And when the welding program option came about, it was one of those situations where it was going to be like a 16 to 18 week course.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to get paid, maybe a small stipend, like $20 a week, something like that. And I just told her, hey, listen, this is what I want to do because I know long term, once I get these credentials, I can go anywhere and make something happen.
Yeah.
She was like, I got you.
So you signed up for the welding
I'll take
class.
care of all of the bills and all of that. Just do what you got to do.
Wait. Say that one more time, because I don't think
she told me. She said, if this is what you really want to do, we're gonna buckle down, and I'll take care of all of the bills. I'll take care of all of everything that needs to be taken care of.
Wait a minute. Did you hear that?
Yeah. That's that.
I just want them to hear that.
Woman. She said that. And she stood on it. And to be quite honest, I didn't just let her do all of that. Right.
You did what you could.
I did everything that I could and more, even if it meant for me borrowing from others to make sure that she was accommodated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did that. Right. Yeah. And then after I got those credentials, I ended up start working for a fabrication company where I was building racks or welding racks and fabricating for the big three, Chrysler, even Toyota and a few other auto manufacturers. I was only making like $400 a week. Even then, it was like, whew. But it sure was better than months prior when I was only making 17.5 cents an hour when I was incarcerated. So I was still focused. My thing was to build my credit up. I knew if I built my credit, I would be able to establish everything. And so from there, I began to move. I was working at the welding company the fabrication company for quite some time. I stayed in contact with my mentors, Brother Keith Bennett, as well as a guy named Julius Norman, who was the instructor at the welding place. And he was like, I think you'd be a good fit at the local 25 iron workers. And at that time, I didn't know what an iron worker was. I honestly thought that it was the guy who had the goggles on with the apron, hitting the anvil. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all that.
You just see sparks flying. You don't know what he's doing over there.
But after he explained it to me, he talked to me like about a lot of financial stuff, and he was just like, bro, you can change your whole life. If you're interested in doing this, we can make it work. I think you're a perfect candidate. So I left. I took the test, passed with flying colors, got into the trade, and I began a whole new
life. If you studying all kind of water,
right.
Water law and all that stuff, we knew you were gonna pass the test.
I'm gonna go in here and win. No. But so I got into the local 25, and it was I'm not gonna say probably, it was the greatest decision I had made for myself at that time. I began, generating a little bit more revenue. I'm able to help my fiance out at the time. You know what I'm saying? I ended up proposing to her, get married, and we did. We got married. We had a baby. We got a house. Like, we did everything that we were supposed to do. And I just began elevating within the trade, and so much so that I ended up getting my credentials as a journeyman iron worker. And after the 4-year apprenticeship, and during that time, I did some recruiting, and again, just stayed constant elevating and all of that. And I'm proud to say,
wait. He said he's proud to say, I want y'all to lean in because I want y'all to hear this. He's proud to say what?
So most recently, I just became
I want to tear this place up, but I can't because it's expensive cameras in here.
No, a lot of people talk about this. I don't put a lot on it, but I'll say it for what it is.
He's very humble, but I'm not. I'm excited.
I just became the first African American local 25 iron worker instructor in the history of the state of Michigan. What?
The first.
I mean, it's well.
But you said that kind of low.
Well,
I want you to say it loud.
No, the first Black local 25 iron worker in the history of the state of Michigan, right? And I say it like that. I am most definitely proud. I promise you, I am, for everything that I have accomplished and everything that I stand on.
We are proud of you.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna be honest though. I think I keep a very great degree of humility.
Yeah.
Surrounding this particular topic because it is a very serious topic to me.
Yeah.
And I say that because there was so many people who came before me that opened the door and laid this path for me to get where I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to eliminate or dwindle any of the work that I put in to obtain it. But I will say this before I'll say anything else. While I'm very proud to do this, right, because of what it stands for, I would prefer to also do this.
Yeah.
And I say that because it was so many individuals who looked exactly like me, who didn't want me to be where I am.
Okay.
But it was also individuals who didn't look like me, who offered everything that they could to make sure that I was in a position to be able to call myself the first Black local 25.
And I understand that coming from your point, but somebody looking on the outside looking in, that's an awesome accomplishment.
It is. I just look at it, I look at it as a unifying moment, as opposed to divisive.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. Yeah, I'm first Black man, and I am.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like seriously, but at the same time, it's more so like, how did it happen? Who helped me? What does it mean for the future for other individuals who look like me to get in? Don't just get in talking about, oh, because you Black. Because if I'm being real with myself and with everybody, I didn't get this position because I was Black.
Yeah.
This wasn't no diversity, equity, inclusion, affirmative action type deal.
Right.
I worked my ass off to get this position.
Right.
I had knowledge. I had a certain personality trait. I had a certain character. It was certain things that I did to open the door and set these pathways. They didn't just say, hey, Vic, you Black, come get this job.
Right. You had to work probably 100 times harder than other people.
I did. And because, we're constantly developing. We're at a stage of, life where things are becoming more and more open to individuals who we probably weren't open to before. But we're also in a political and social climate to where individuals have the capacity to keep you where you at if you don't have the credentials to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at this right now, like I'm literally wearing.
It says Victor and it says Journeyman.
And that says Journeyman. I earned that.
Yeah. Nobody
just gave me this.
Yeah.
I didn't get this made for myself. This was presented to me. This is a patch. This is a patch that said 125 years. A lot of people don't know.
Local 25, 125th anniversary. Detroit chartered July 18th, 1901.
So let me give you a little bit of history about the iron workers real quick. And I won't go into a lot. I'm not sure how much time we got.
We passed that time.
But I'm not bad. Okay, well, listen, this is what I'm gonna say.
We love you, Rico.
I'm gonna do this and then you cut me off where you want to cut me off at, right? Local 25 iron workers, right? But before we say local 25 iron workers, I work for an organization called the International Association of Bridge, Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcing Iron Workers. Okay. That means that any building structure, the majority of building structures that you see have been created and designed and erected, established, whatever have you, by iron workers. Iron workers are the individuals who build the foundation for all the buildings, erect the steel,
so Little Caesars
place
Arena,
the ornament,
you had
Little Caesars Arena, Comerica Park, Ford Field, the new Michigan Central train station, the Gordie Howe Bridge, the CompuWare building, the new Hudson. I've been a part of all of those projects. You know what's funny about this?
That's so dope.
So I'll say this real quick, and then I come back to something, and maybe that's how I'll end it. Local 25. So the International Association of Bridge Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcement Iron Workers was established in the great state of Pennsylvania back in 1896, right? That was the international.
I wasn't born, but amen.
Right. Then you had the local 25,
yeah,
all right, which was established July 18th, 1901, right here in Detroit, Michigan. Right? That's the local that I work for. So I'm saying that to say this is why I'm proud. This is the 125th year this year in July. And I'm able to say that I'm a part of the individuals who are helping to train the next generation of individuals who are going to be continuing this process. Right?
And you just got recently, maybe a month or two ago, the Spirit of Detroit Award.
Right.
Base.
So it's crazy. So and this is why I say that, right? I right prior to that, I actually received from Goodwill, which is Goodwill Flip the Script. That was the program that I went through for welding. This same, about a week or a month or so right before I got the Spirit of Detroit Award, I received the Alumni of the Year Award from Goodwill.
Okay.
And they gave me that because of the strides and maybe successes that I've made up to this point by coming through their program. So this is what I really want to say. This is, again, everything comes back full circle, and wherever you want to end it from here, I just want to get this out. Me, guy from Dexter, dreadlocks,
Dexter
was in the game.
If y'all know anything about Dexter,
you know what I mean, right?
My brother was killed on Dexter.
Listen, you know what it is, right?
Amen.
I literally went from being behind bars, steel bars, to now bending and breaking and cutting and forming and fabricating steel bars. I went from being.
Did you hear that, Rico?
No. Listen. I went from being.
Rico's out in the same room.
I went from being detained on so many occasions in the Wayne County Jail to being one of the first individuals on site to build the new Wayne County Jail.
Woo.
You understand what I'm saying? I went from running around in the city of Detroit with all of this ill will to just receiving the Alumni of the Year Award for 2025 for Goodwill. Then I went from just tearing up the city and having this iniquitous spirit in the city of Detroit to now just recently getting the Spirit of Detroit Award.
Come on now.
That's what makes me as humble and whatever you want to say.
God don't play about him.
With me. I'm happy with me. I'm happy with the life that I have, and I just refuse to do anything unnecessary.
I understand how humble you are, but I have a master's in criminal justice.
Sure.
I've seen many young people, including my own child, that went through the system. Everybody don't come out with the mindset where I gotta have a goal. I have to have a focus. Everybody don't come out the same. A lot of times people come out. That's why the recidivism rate is the way that it is.
It is.
You know, I think it's down now, but a lot of people that come out and right back up because they're imprisoned in their mind. For you to come out and totally change your mindset, because it starts in your mind.
It does.
That is something to, you know what I'm saying, something that we should always honor.
Sure.
Because I don't know if it was your wife, I don't know if it was your child, that when you got out, you said, that's my why. Everybody don't have a why.
So I'm going to be honest, it started while I was in there. Me. So again.
Did it start in a solitary confinement? You had to read those books?
Not necessarily.
I'm still stuck on you
not necessarily, but it did help.
Reading that book on water.
So I won't get off into a long thing about it, but Admiralty Maritime is directly associated with criminal law and civil law, how the flag is set up in the court, what it means, the colors. It's a lot, but I won't go into that. But it was very relevant, and I didn't realize it until after I read it. And I studied the IRS codes. I studied all of that stuff, right? But I want to go back to what you said about the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, my mother, like I said, she taught education. She was heavy in my household. And my favorite subject in school was English. I loved words. I loved spelling words. I loved defining words, all of that. I loved words. My brother, who's no longer with us, rest his soul, I remember one thing he taught me, man, when I was like about 11 years old. He said, man, listen, because I used to write rhymes. I was a rapper. And he was like,
he's a good rapper, guys.
No, but my brother, he told me, he said, listen, bro, the most powerful thing on this world, or in this world, is words.
Yeah.
He said, with words, you can do everything that you want to, from creating and building to destroy. He just gave me a whole layout, and I never forgot that. And I remembered it. That's ultimately why I feel like I was able to articulate my words in such a way to have them release me. I just do. Anyway, during my time in confinement, I studied words. I read the dictionaries, encyclopedias. I just did. But one of the words, was many, two of them I'll give you. They both is under the R section. Responsibility is the first thing that I came to terms with when I was reading. And of course, you look at responsibility, it's an obligation, it's something you have to do, it's something you may be bound by, all of that. But it's more to it than that. I started studying the etymology of words, or the root and where they came from and all of that. So when I studied responsibility, it came to a point where I'm like, let's break it all the way down.
Yeah.
Responsibility. The suffix, meaning to do again, right? Or responsibility as a whole, meaning you have the ability to respond to any situation how you choose to. You don't have to always react. You can be proactive. Or if somebody comes slap you in the face, then I mean, you got to get up. Not saying that you won't.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you can respond how you choose to. So with me now understanding that and really considering that and internalizing it, I don't always have to jump up and be ready to fight or do something or shoot or whatever. When a situation arises, I can think about it and then choose my response.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know even though I can choose how I act, I can't choose that consequence that comes along with it.
Yeah.
I just got to be conscious of how my abilities are when I'm responding to something. Yeah. That was the first one. The one I read before that was two of them. You know how they tell you when you go to prison, you're going to get rehabilitated. Think about that. What is rehabilitation when you break it down? You look at again, the subject or the suffix, which is to do again.
Okay.
And you look at habilitate. From the beginning, it don't look like it means the word is nothing. But habilitate derives from habitual or habit or even habitat, right? So if my habits before I came to prison were smoking and drinking and robbing and stealing and selling dope and killing and all of these things that come along with my habit, my habitat and all of that.
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say?
You place me in a situation where I'm around other individuals who have those same characteristics or those traits.
So you're just going to learn how to do that stuff
I'm going to do it
measure.
better because in my mind, I'm around here. I got a better way to rob a person. I got a better way to sell dope. I got a better way to do this. I got a better way to rehab myself or put myself back in those same habits. I'm just going to do them again and again and again and again. That's rehabilitation. But when you think about the real word that you're supposed to be focused on when you get there, you hear it, but you hear it often and they play it real subtle. It's reformation or reformation. So you got prison reform, all of that. When you reform something, that means that you reform it. You take it, you break it down, but you make it, build it back up better than what it was before you originally tore it down.
Yeah.
That's what you want when you go or have somebody who go under those circumstances to reform themselves. And that's what I did. I had to accept accountability or responsibility for what I had done, the things, and even though the crime that I didn't commit and that I went to prison for, I had to consider the fact that I still was selling dope. I still was in the streets. I still was hanging around certain individuals. I still had a certain mindset. I created those circumstances which ultimately gave rise to the conditions for me to be placed in a situation to be wrongfully convicted. I did that.
Yeah.
But if I'm constantly in a state of mind, I didn't do that, man. This
and see, people don't want that accountability. They don't.
Because
it's everybody else's fault but mine.
This is why. Going back to the word responsibility. If I say I'm responsible for something, this is the mindset of the individual who hasn't accepted it. If I tell you I'm responsible for something and things go awry or in the wrong direction or in a wrong turn and end up being really bad, I'm gonna have to turn right back around and say I was irresponsible. Who wants to be irresponsible? But a person who is grown enough to accept, hey, these is the effects of my actions. You gotta embrace that. And if you don't, then you're gonna repeat the same thing over and over and over. So that's what
I don't know about y'all, but this story definitely just inspired me. Inspired me to want to sow into younger people more. People that I know that is even of age that may not be making the right decision. Like your life can be totally transformed. That's if you want it to be.
So ultimately, that's my goal right now. I got multiple different projects that I'm working on, but one of the ones that I'm most protective and happy about is I started an organization, and it's in the infant stages now, and I'm in the process of building it and looking for grants and other funding sources where I can promote it in the way I need to. It's called the National Association of Urban Tradesmen.
Okay.
And basically what it is an organization where we're open and actively looking to reach out to the youth, young individuals who are interested in getting involved in the trades. Now, by far, of course, I'm gonna be a little bit more biased towards iron working because that's what I'm in. But it's not just myself. I have friends and other associates who are plumbers and carpenters and millwrights and electricians and even individuals who are in the barber and beauty industry, CDL driving. All of these are trades. Right? All of these are things that our young people can utilize to make a lot of money. And it doesn't require a lot of the credentials that a lot of other maybe career choices may. But we have access to them. And my goal is to again, we're going to be going into prisons. We're going to be going into high schools. We're going to be going to youth detention facilities, foster cares, churches, everywhere where we know these children or these young folk who are interested or may not even have knowledge about what resources are available to them to help, move their futures in the right direction.
Now, will this organization, when it gets to a certain point, I know going through the tradesmen now or signing up for it, you have to pay quite a few fees. Would they make it possible where if the person is serious, some of those fees can be allocated to?
So basically what my organization and which is why I'm looking for certain degrees of funding and certain sources. My goal is one of the primary reasons why a lot of individuals who are interested in getting into the trades, especially the iron workers, may not necessarily be in the beginning eligible is because a lot of them lack vehicle transportation and vehicles, or their driver's licenses are invalid or they don't have them. Right. So one of the main things that we want to focus on with my organization is making sure that they get their licenses and transportation, even if that means we have to get some type of connection with the amnesty program, which I do have a few connections to that, and these are things that I'm building in there. Even like so to eradicate, eliminate some of the tickets, but also being able to help provide them with temporary housing, being able to help provide them with tools and clothes, the necessary things that they need to get established so that once they begin their journey, they can be as comfortable and as effective as possible. So that's one of the things we're working on.
I absolutely love that.
Sure.
What would you say to an individual who may, I don't want to say lost their way, but may still be at a place where they're trying to figure their life out, if this is something that they want to look into? let them know how do they get in contact with you or the organization that you're a part.
So
But wait, I don't
sure.
think you told us. You got a promotion.
Mhm.
What do you do now?
So right now, again, I'm a local 25 iron worker instructor.
Mhm.
And so now I actually train the apprentice iron workers into becoming journeyman, full-fledged journeyman iron workers. Yeah.
Ain't that bottle great?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's a
you
great
tell
feeling.
the
I love it,
people,
though.
because we got a lot of single women out here
Sure.
that have sons, and we can see that they may be not on the right track.
Sure.
You know, give them some information. They can say, listen, son, this is something that can change your life.
Okay. So the first thing I would say, getting back to what you originally said,
Mhm.
I would say that it's never too late
Yeah.
until it's too late.
Mhm.
If you are interested in any way, shape, or form, progress in your life, especially as it pertains to economic or making some money, being grounded and disciplined, doing something that'll last for generations,
Yeah.
and be able to sustain your family, help build one, reestablish, whatever. The trades are what's happening right now. And I'm just going to say it straightforward. I'm not even trying to be politically correct. I'm not saying that other jobs and, career choices are irrelevant. I'm just saying that trades are going to always be here, and they're going to always be a foundational tool for you to utilize on a professional level as well as a personal one.
Mhm.
Me, I'm in Local 25 Iron Workers. You can contact or reach out to ironworkers25.org. If you have a young person who is interested in filling out that application, they can go online at, again, ironworkers25.org. Download the application, because this is part of a test. You download the application so that it's in paper form, fill it out, right? And you call the number on to the training center. This is actually where I work. You call the number and you let them know that you filled out the application, that you're interested in bringing it in. They'll have you come down there and you'll take a test. So the test consists of 3 parts. It is reading, math, and then there's an aptitude section where you're going to have to fill out, prepare, and it's not a long test, may take a couple of hours. But there are restrictions. You have to be able to pass a drug test.
What does that mean? Because now,
Okay, and I want to say this straightforward.
yeah,
Not only just, you got, Mario, you got people who try to pass the drug test. They'll use other people's urine. And
Mhm.
listen, man, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The
So
bottom
marijuana
line
is
is be
included.
clean. Marijuana, any type of drug
Mind altering.
or substance,
Mhm.
right? That is illegal. Even though marijuana is legal, you still got to be honest with yourself. If you're going to be working for a corporation, or organization, or someone who's doing the things that we do, nobody wants nobody on their job who's high.
Yeah.
You can't drive high. You can't. Anyway, drug free.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have transportation, and you have to have a valid driver's license. You got those 3 things. Like I said, go on ironworkers25.org. Download the application, fill it out, and make the call. The second thing you can do is you can call my outreach coordinator. His name is Brad Pierce, or you can reach out to the training school instructor, whose name is Chad Cox, and you can call up to the training center. Is located on Ann Arbor Trail in Wixom. And again, you can always reach out to me. I'm always a gateway. I'm always I always have an open door policy as it pertains to individuals who are interested in the trade. If you are on Facebook, I'm at Lord Victory Walker. You can inbox me on Instagram. You can inbox me at Lord Victory to God. And my email, you can go to Victor Lee Walker LLC and reach out to me on that platform as well.
Did you bring your award?
I didn't bring the award, but I will say this. I did bring this. So this is in regards to the trade. I'm not sure which camera I'm actually on, and this is a older. This is probably like I would say it's been updated, but we start off. Our apprentices start off somewhere like around $24, 23, $24 an hour. So from there, and I want to say this: $24 an hour, And there is a criteria where each 6 months, as long as you meet a certain criteria, you'll get like $1 raise. For the first 2 years is a 4-year apprenticeship. And then the second 2 years, as long as you continue meeting the criteria, it's $2 an hour. So by the time you reach your 4th year, you're roughly making like $32, if I'm not mistaken, 32 to 34 bucks an hour. And that's just what you bring home. That has nothing to do with, we have 2 retirement accounts. We have what we call a defined contributions account, and we also have a pension. We're probably one of the last trades or last career choices that still has a pension. We get vacation checks. You get full insurance, top insurance, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, health, vision, dental. I mean, all I can say is if you're interested in getting into a career field that is going to not only be beneficial to yourself, your family, and other individuals around you, contact Local 25 Ironworkers at online, ironworkers25.org. That's the best way I can tell you.
And there you have it.
There you have it.
I want to thank you so much for coming to the table.
Yes,
such a great show, such an honor to have you at the table. I'm always looking for ways to help Detroiters improve their life, especially to our young men and even young women. Young women, this applies to you as well.
Absolutely. Listen,
this is not just for men.
We got some iron worker chicks
and that doesn't take away your femininity.
No. They bad. That's all I can tell you. They bad.
And some people will request them over some of the other some of the men.
Welders. I had a young lady who she taught me a certain aspect about welding that I still haven't been able to have somebody top to this day. She is the truth. But anyway, yes.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Alicia, for letting your husband come sit at the table. I appreciate it.
Taking up all our time.
Listen. We're trying to do some things here at Detroit Table Talk. Right now, it's myself. Vic said that
Don't put it on me.
I don't know if he got to go home and talk to his wife first. So hopefully once a month that he'll be able to stop by the table and add some value to this table here until I can figure my whole life out with this with this podcast. I'm trying. But no, Detroiters, Detroit is moving in a whole different direction. We want you to be a part of what's, the change that's happening. Not only do we have a new mayor, we have newly appointed council people. So we are on the right path. Yeah. It is up to you to join that path, or be in front of it and be a trailblazer. Whatever it is that you choose to do, start somewhere. And if you want to start here, the apprenticeship program,
right.
Listen, just go ahead and do it. You have put off it long enough trying to figure out what you're going to do. The streets ain't what it used to be.
It ain't.
No more.
It ain't.
The money ain't out there. The people is out there looking for you. So you might as well just hang that up and go ahead and get an honest living.
Absolutely.
This brother right here is committed to helping you help yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, he can't do it for you. And he ain't going to chase you.
This is true.
He's on a certain level now. He's on a whole new level.
Yeah.
But he'll guide you through the process. He'll make sure that you're connected to the right people. But it's up to you to do what you have to do. Okay. But you will see a Cash App on here. This is like church. You got some good information today. I want you to sow a seed.
Seed sowers.
Sow a seed into Detroit Table Talk. It could be $2. It could be $3. You know what I'm saying?
Half a dollar.
50 cents. I am a person that's out in the community. My passion is always to make sure that our homeless people have the bare minimum. And prayerfully through, future endeavors, I'll be able to do a lot more. But your contribution can be whatever it is that you want to contribute. $ Detroit Table Talk. Okay. Dope. I love you. And we will see you back at the table next week. That's my boy, Vic.
Appreciate it.